This conference will now be recorded.
So like in the last class, like we have discussed about the, different data types and the variables in the TypeScript. Like we have discussed about the local variables and the global variables and static type checking and dynamic type checking. So in this class today, like we'll discuss about the classes and objects. So we'll discuss about the classes and objects. I think like if people are like aware of the concept of classes and objects. So like we'll be using this concept in the like most of the other languages also, like Java, C Sharp, and like .NET. So in the JavaScript also, like we have the concept called objects. So in the TypeScript, like they have introduced the classes. So first like we'll go by the definitions. So after seeing the definitions, we'll go for the practical examples. So first of all, like what is class?
The combination of
So
methods and properties.
yeah, correct. So like we can say like it is a blueprint to create the objects. So it is a blueprint to create the objects. So I mean, what do you mean by blueprint here? Like so a class will be consisting of the what are all the properties and methods required for the object. So for example, I just want to create a one object. So in that object, like I have the few properties and the methods. So I am going to define all those properties and methods inside the class. So you can represent it is a model. It represents the model of the object. So class represents the model of object, and it will consist of properties and methods. So it represents the model of the objects. Model of the objects means how the object should be look like and what are all the properties and methods inside that particular object. For example, if you take person is a class. Person is a class. So like every person exists in the world is an object. So basically, like this class represents the model of the object. Whereas object, so object also will be having the properties and methods, but it is a physical entity. I mean, we can consider object is a physical entity, or like physical item. So which consists of properties and methods. So for example, let me take, so class person. So this person will be consisting of the like properties and methods, like name, comma, age. So these are the properties, like can he drive? So these are kind of methods. So first of all, yeah. So first of all, class is nothing but it is a blueprint to create the object. For example, if you want to construct some house, so basically like we'll be having the some plan or blueprint for the particular house. So how many bedrooms and what are all the kitchen area and dining area. So we'll be having the complete plan or blueprint, right? So in the similar way, so in the TypeScript, so if you want to create the objects, so we can create the objects by using the classes. So here classes will represent the like what are all the properties and methods, and inside the properties, like what kind of data type that particular property holds. So what are all the return type for the particular method. So we'll be having the all those things in the class, like we'll be defining the all those things. So after defining the class, so we are going to derive the objects from the class. So I mean, we'll be creating the objects from the class. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next, like basically, I mean, we can create objects in a two ways in TypeScript. So yesterday I have shown you, like, I mean, I have created like, I mean, var person equals to
Name, key value pair.
name Karthik. Yeah, key value pair, right? Name Karthik. For example, age
27.
29. So I mean, this is the one way of creating the object. So I mean, here what I have defined, like I have taken one variable var, and the variable name I have given as a person equals to, I have created some person with his name and the age. So here this is a simple way of creating the objects, and we can create the objects by using the classes also. I mean the one is the with object literal, and the second one is like we can create with the using
New constructor.
using class like, yeah, using the like new keyword. So I mean, so I mean, when should I use the object literal and when should I go for the class means? So for example, if you want to create the object using the object literal means, like if you don't know the like how many properties this particular object will be having, like if you don't know the structure of the object, so we can go with the object literal. So whenever if you know the complete structure, no, like what are all the properties and methods, so at that time it is better to use the class, like it is better to create the objects by using the class. So I mean, whenever if you don't know the properties, like how many properties or how many methods, so if you use the object literal, no, we can add dynamically. We can add for example, this particular person, I want to add one more property called like mobile, person dot mobile equals to some random number. So in this way, like I can add the dynamically. If I want to add dynamically, I can add it, I can delete it. So in this scenario, we can go with the object literal. But whereas in the class, no, class, like we have defined class represents the model of the object, right? So in the class, like we'll be defining the like all the properties, like I mean, before we are going to create the object, right? So we don't want to disturb, I mean, it's a blueprint or it's, I mean, class structure. So in that scenarios, like we are going to create the objects with the class. So now, like we will see, like I mean, basic syntax. I mean, how to create the class in TypeScript. Give me 1 second, guys. I just want to maximize the screen. So let me take, I mean, one more file. Let me. I will name it as a classes. I will give the type as TypeScript. I mean, extension was. So let me create the sample class. For example, I just want to create the employee class. So let me show you the syntax. Like, so first, like we'll be using the class keyword. Next, like we'll be having the class name. So next, like, so this is the basic class syntax. So we'll be using the class keyword, and the next, like we need to provide the class name. So next, like we need to define the properties, like I mean, I can say like property property and its data type. Data type. Next, like we'll be creating the method, so which will accept some parameters, and like inside this method, like we'll be writing the logic. So this is the basic syntax. Like we have the class keyword, class, and the class name, and like we'll be inside the class, like we'll be defining the properties. So inside the next, like after like we can define the multiple properties also. Next, like we can define the method, and inside the method, like we can write some logic. Like whatever the method is intended to create, we can write some logic inside the method. So let me create one sample class. This is the basic syntax. Let me comment this one. So I just want to create the employee class. So it will host the employee name and employee age, and like one more method like inside the employee class. For example, let me take class employee. So basically, so whenever if you're creating the class name, so it will be better to start the class name with the capital letter, so that like we can easily identify it is a class. Like so instead of like variables, yeah, so like it will be good to use the capital letter as a employee class name. So class employee. Now I want to add the two properties like employee name. Its data type will be string, equals to, I'll give Srinivas, and I'll give the employee age number equals to some 27. So this is the basic basic employee class, so which defines the two properties like employee name and the employee age. Now I will write one method like find employee designation kind of thing, employee designation, so which is a method. So if the age is greater than if the age is greater than 30, so it should return the employee designation as a senior consultant. If the age is less than 30, it should return the employee designation as a consultant. Just it's a simple method. So for example, now I'll write a condition here. If this dot employee age is greater than 35, just return senior consultant. So his designation should be senior consultant. Else written as a consultant. So this is a basic employee class. So this is very easy, guys. Just like I have taken the class keyword, and this is the class name employee. So now I want my employee object should be with like it should have the two properties like employee name and employee age. So along with that, like I want one more method, so which will find the employee designation. So if the employee age is greater than 35, I want to return as a senior consultant, and otherwise I want to return as a consultant. So we have created the employee class. Now so I want to create the employee objects. So this is the basic structure of the object. Now I want to derive or I want to create the objects from this particular employee class. So how to create it? So let me take for example where employee object equals to new. So if you want to create the object, so we'll be using the new keyword, new, and the class name. So class name is like employee, right? So employee object, now employee object will host the employee name, employee age, and the find employee designation method. Now like we'll try to print the properties and the methods inside the employee object. So I'll just take the console.log.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, in order to access the methods and properties, we have to definitely have a object.
Correct.
So without object, we can't access the class function members and methods.
Yeah. We can't access it. So the main intention of the class was like to define the object structure and to derive the objects. Like if we want to create the some instances. Instance is nothing but like we can call it as object only. So we want to create some instance from the employee class. So here we can call it the employee object is a instance of the employee. So like here, like why I'm using the instance was like we have created this employee object, or like we have derived this employee object from the employee class, right? So we can call like employee object is an instance of the employee. So now like we'll access these properties like employee obj dot employee name. We'll accept the other one also, console.log employee object dot employee age, console.log employee object dot find employee designation. So like this is a method, right? That's why like I have used the parentheses because like it's method. For properties, just I have used the property names. For method, like I have used the parentheses to call that particular method. So let me save this one. So let me compile this to TS file, like tsc dot classes dot ts. So it is compiled. Now like index.html I will change. Yesterday we have used the data type, right? I'll change to classes. Yeah, classes.js. Let me run the file index.html. I have opened the console by using the F12. So if you see the console now, so we can see the employee name and employee age, and like is told like consultant, because like we have given the employee age as 27, right? That's why like it is printing his designation as the consultant. For example, let me change that age, like I'll give some other value like 38. We'll see, like we can see the it should print the employee designation as the senior consultant.
Senior consultant.
So let me run here. Yeah, now we can see the senior consultant because like we have changed the age value. So this is how like we'll be creating the class, and from the class like we have derived the employee object. So in this way, like we can create the multiple objects also, like from by using the single class, we can derive the multiple objects also. Because like now in this scenario, if I try to derive like one more object, for example, where emp1 object, for example, employee1 object equals to new employee. So like I mean, is there any use like if I do like this, like if I create employee one object and I mean, so here if I do this one, no, it will like the both the employee object and employee one object will be having the same data, because like I have assigned the values. I mean, I have initialized the values here itself, like employee name and employee age, and this everything like the values I have assigned here. Uh, but in the real time, like we are not going to assign directly like this. I mean, to show basic example, I have given like this, but like in the real time, like we are not going to use like this. So I mean, to overcome this, like I just want to uh, add this values like employee name and employee age dynamically. So I want to get these values like for each and every object, this employee name and employee age, it should be different, right? So for that reason, like in the TypeScript class, we have the one more option, like we have the one more option called the constructor method. So by using the constructor method, we can create the objects with the dynamic data. So I'll show you like how to create the by using the constructor method. So I mean, until here, like you are fine, right? This is clear, right? Creating the employee and creating the object from the employee class.
Sir, I have one doubt, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, like instead of using where, can we use const here?
Yeah, we
So
can
because
use.
every employee has, okay, sir. Okay, we can use const.
Yeah, we can use, no problem.
Okay, sir. That's my question. Okay, not a problem.
So next, like I will see about the constructor. I mean, constructor method or constructor function. So it is a special function. So it is a special function which is a part of class. So each and every TypeScript class, no, so it will be having the constructor function. So we can consider it as a special function. So I mean, so why do you need this function? So it is used to initialize the properties of the class. Properties of the class. So basically, I mean, in the previous example, I have hard coded, right? So I mean, instead of hard coding, like if I want to give its values, I mean, dynamically, so we can do by using the constructor function. So one more point, like constructor will be called automatically. I mean, constructor function will call automatically when we create the class. When we create the new object from the class. So basically, it is a special function which is the part of the class. So each and every class will be having the constructor function. So next, like what is the use of the constructor function is? So it is used to initialize the properties of the class. So if you want to initialize the properties, I mean if you want to assign some values to it, so we can do by using the constructor function. And constructor function, like I mean, no need to call this function, like automatically it will get called like whenever if you create the new object from the class. And one more thing, like this constructor function will receive the arguments also. Constructor function will receive the arguments. So these arguments will helps us to create the objects. So I mean, these arguments will help us to create the dynamic objects. So like these are the basic points about the constructor function. So each, like in the TypeScript class, like each class will be having the constructor function, and it is used to initialize the properties. And like this function will be called automatically whenever if you create the new object. So we can pass the like dynamic arguments, like we can pass the arguments, and we can create the dynamic objects. So let me show you one example, so we'll get the better clarity. So I'll take one more example. Class with constructor function. So let me create one class called like student. So let me take like student name, like it is similar to employee only. Just instead of employee, I have taken as it's a class name as student. Student name. I'll be defining its type as a string.
String.
And marks
Number.
So here what I mean, I have just defined its properties. Now the initialization part, like I mean, I just want to assign some values to these properties. For that, like I'm going to do all those things inside the constructor method. So I'll just create the constructor. So we have discussed the constructor is a function, right? That's why I have taken the constructor keyword with the two parentheses. So we can consider this as a constructor function. So inside the constructor function, so I can define like this dot student name equals to Venkat, and this dot marks equals to some 75. So we are initializing. So constructor is mainly used to initialize the properties values. So we are initializing the values inside the constructor function. Now let me write one more method like result get result. So in a similar way, like I just want to write the one if else condition inside the get result. For example, if the start marks is greater than 35, I will return as if like student is passed. Return passed. Else return failed. So let me create one object where student object equals to new student. So same like a similar way, like whatever we have created the employee object, right? So we have created the student object from the student class. So we can print all those values like by writing this console.log. I'll just copy paste this one. I'll just replace this student object with employee object. Student name and the marks get result. So in this class, like what we have added additionally is like we have added the constructor function. So we have added the constructor function. So inside this constructor function, like I have defined the like the start student name equals to Venkat and marks as a 75. So in the similar way, like I have written one more method like get result, like based on the marks, like I just want to whether the student is passed or failed. So that's why like I have written get result, and inside that like we have written the if and else condition. So from that, like we have created the one student object, and we're trying to print the its details like student name, marks, and the get results. Let me compile this one. Yeah, we can see like we can get the student name and the student marks So marks is greater than 35, right? So we have got the, I mean, output is the passed. So here also, I mean, we are using the constructor function, but here also like we have one drawback, like I mean, we are not setting this student name and marks as a dynamically, like we are not passing any arguments here. So I mean, this example explains like we have created the student object without passing the dynamic values. So I mean, we have not passed any parameters here. So like, so in the next example, like we'll see the with the parameters. So this is the just basic example without having the parameters inside the constructor function. So here also, if we create one more student object, it will return always take student name as a Venkat and the marks as the 75. But like I want to create the multiple objects with the dynamic values. I mean, I want to pass the, I mean, multiple objects with the dynamically. So for that reason, like I'll create one more class.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah. Tell me.
Like, why we are initializing the properties within the constructor? We can do it outside the while creating the variable itself, right?
Yeah, we can do it. But like if you want to, I mean, I told you, like if you want to pass the values dynamically, I mean, this is just example I have showed you to understand the constructor function, like how it's called and how we can create the object. But like in the real time scenarios, like we are not going to do this one also. So we are going to pass the dynamic values. So I'm going to show you that example. I mean, that example in by creating the one more class, so you can get the clear understanding.
One more question,
So I
sir.
mean,
Like,
we can do,
if we remove
yeah.
constructor also, it will work, or definitely we have
Sorry,
to add the constructor within the class?
I didn't get Karthik. Can you repeat once again?
Yes, sir. Sir, like definitely we have to add constructor, or if we remove the constructor method also, it will work. It will give the result.
I mean, if you remove this
I will
constructor
remove the
function,
constructor. Yes.
if you remove the constructor function, we need to initialize some values to these two properties, so that
Yes, sir.
so that we can create the object. So if you use the constructor means like we should even, for example, let me give it like this one. So constructor. So
So
I'll
I will
give
remove
here
the
as a,
entire construction function.
I'll give as some 20. So we can do this also, like we can do like this also. So here what happens was, like by default, like we have the, I mean, student name is Karthik and marks as 20, and later so I have given the same, like I have reassigned it. So it will overwrite these values and it will print the these values. Now your question will be like, so you want me to
Yeah.
remove this entire constructor function? Okay, sir, will this is a valid class? Yes, it is a
Yes.
valid class, but we can create only one object with these details. We can't create the multiple objects with the different data. For example, in my I mean organization, I have the some 100 employees. So I just want to create the 100 employees. So it will be having the similar fields like employee name and employee age, employee salary, employee ID. So in those scenarios, if you define the class like without having the constructor function, so we can't create like we can create only single employee, because like we are hard coding the employee details inside the class. So if you want to do the dynamic elements, like we should go with the constructor.
Yeah. Got it, sir.
So I mean, so in the next class, no, like I mean, so in the next example, like I'm going to show you like how to create the dynamic objects by using the constructor function. So next example will be constructor function with parameters. So let me create like class person. So same, like we can use the same examples. I mean, person name or like person first name So string person last name, string person age, number. So we have created the three properties. Now like I will create the constructor function, constructor. So I will now I will assign values to these things like these properties. This start person first name equals to first name. So here like I am taking this as a one parameter. So I mean I don't want to hard code here. Like previously like we have hard coded, right? I mean I have hard coded this value as the I mean Venkat or like the Karthik. But like I want to get this person first name should be dynamic. Like I want to change for like each object. So for that reason like I will add these values as a parameters to the constructor function. So for example I'll give first name, last name, comma age. So here we have the three properties, right? So that's why I have taken as a like three parameters inside the constructor function. So similar way like this start person last name equals to last name, this start person age equals to age. So like this is the I mean advantage of having the constructor function where we can pass the dynamic values to the constructor function and we can set those values to this I mean person class. So here like I have taken as a first name, last name and age, right? So you can give any names. I mean for understanding easily I have given the meaningful name. For example, if you want to you can give like this also like A comma B comma C. So you can give any name like no need to give the only first name and last name. But this is not the like best way of writing. Like I mean it will works and will get the output, but this is not the best practice. Like so whenever if someone sees your code, no, like it is very difficult to understand your code. That's why. So whenever if you're going to define like any classes or the variables, so it should be good like if you define with the valid names. So
We
now
have to
let me
mention type also here, sir. Like first name
yeah
is
we
of
can
member.
yeah we can mention the type also. It will works, no problem. So now I'll create the person object like var person obj equals to new person.
New.
So here we can see like previously like we didn't get the I mean any error like if I use like new with the student last name, but here we can see the error. I mean I will just hover on it. See expected three arguments but got 0 means like in the constructor function. So we have defined the three parameters like so guys like I mean whenever if you're defining the function. So whenever if you're passing some values to that particular function or method, so we'll be calling as the parameters. Like these are called whenever if you're defining it, we'll be calling these values as the parameters. So whenever if you're calling that particular function, or like whenever if you're creating the object by using that employee class, like we'll be calling this as the arguments. For example, I'll give the first name was Venki. So I can consider this as one argument. So this is called argument, and this first name is called like the parameter. So Venki, and I'll give his last name as S, and I'll give his name as 25. So I mean we have defined three parameters, right? So here we should pass the three arguments. So now let me print. So where, sorry, console.log console.log person obj dot person dot first name, like similar way like I'll print.
So by using dollar also we can print this console dollar person object.
Yeah, we can.
Just show me with the dollar method, sir.
So dollar, whenever if you are going to use the string literals, right? So we can use like we can use like this one. So person, okay, we have defined this way. I mean, basically, like this is the preferred way like we'll be using. So we can use the dollar also. So let me compile this one. Yeah, here we can see like we have got the we have created the object, right? Object from the student class, right? So we have got the first name and the last name and the age. So similar way like we can create the one more object like where I mean person to obj equals to new person. So I'll give it as a like Karthik 27. I'll give surname as C. So we can access this person to object also. So by using the constructor function, this is how like we are going to create the objects with the dynamic data. So we like these two objects will be having the two two different values. Guys, any doubts in this like by using the constructor function with parameters?
No, sir.
Okay. So I'll explain the like one more time like from the basic onwards. So that like in the first example we have seen the class with the basic properties and the methods. So in the next example like we have introduced the constructor function. So constructor function is a special type of function which is a part of the Typescript class. So this constructor function is mainly used to initialize the dynamic values or the like if you want to initialize the values to the class object, to the class, so we can use the constructor function. So in the next example, like we have seen the constructor function without passing the any parameters to it. So in the next example, we have seen the complete class with the constructor function like by passing the three different parameters. So this is how we are going to create the classes, and from the classes like we have derived the objects. So next we'll see the concept called the inheritance. So what is inheritance?
Getting parent method and properties to the child class.
Yes, correct, exactly. So inheritance, it is a concept of extending the uh, parent class by creating the child class. So basically, I mean, what exactly we are going to do was, for example, I have the, I mean, on class called person. So person, which is having the person name and the person age as a properties. Now I just want to derive the one child class called employee by using the person class. So employee also will be having the employee name and employee age, and in addition to that, like we'll be having the employee ID and the employee salary. So instead of defining the properties like I mean employee properties, so I just want to use the, I mean, parent class, like I mean person class properties. So here, I mean, this is the concept of extending the parent class by creating the child class. Here, child class will extend the parent class. So like, I mean, what is the meaning of this one is like, so it will extend the parent class, so it will be able to access the all the values, all the properties and all the methods inside the parent. So like we'll see like how to create the, I mean, how to create the parent class and how to create the child class and how the inheritance will works with a small example. So this is the like basic definition, like, so I mean, what is meant by inheritance? So it is the concept of extending the parent class. So I mean, I have told you, right, we have the one person class, so inside the person we have the name and the age. So I just want to add the few more methods, and I just want to extend its class by creating the one more class, like I mean child class. I mean, let me take this way. Here parent class will be person, so it will be having the name, age are the properties, and like we will be having the child class, so the class name will be employee. Now, so employee will be having the name, age, employee ID, employee salary. So, but like instead of creating the name and age inside the employee class, I want to extend those properties from the parent class. So it will be having the EMP name, EMP ID, or like EMP age, EMP salary. So these two properties, like employee name and employee age, I want to I mean get the values from the parent class. That's why like we are going to use the inheritance concept in the object oriented programming. So let me show you with the small example, like, so I mean here like we have already created I mean we have created the, I mean, employee and the person, right? So I'll take it as a class vehicle. So I mean here vehicle will become the parent class, and like the from the vehicle, like I just want to derive the, I mean create the one more class called the car. So I just want to add a few more properties to the car class. So let me take a vehicle. So it will be having the name, like it will be having the string, and like year here it will be having the number. I mean, when this particular vehicle was released, so I'll be taking as a year, and it will be having the number data type. So next, like we'll be taking as a constructor. So I'll take it as in like two parameters. I just want to take the values as dynamically. So name, year. So the start name equals to name. Guys, here I mean like I have I have used as a this keyword, right? Here this dot name, like it represents the that particular object, like it represents that particular object data. For example, here I am using the this dot person first name and this dot person last name and person age, right? So whenever if I'm going to use this particular this keyword, no, it will describes about the, like, whatever the object, like whatever the object we are going to refer. For example, in this case, like where person obj. So I have defined like new person with this details like Venki S25, right? So here this this start person first name, like it will refers to this particular object, like so here this definition like will vary from like based on like how it gets called. So here like I'm creating the person object from this person class, right? Here this refers to this particular person object. So from this person object, like we are passing the values like Winky S25, right? So it will take these values. So that's why like we are using the this keyword here. So this dot name equals to name, and this dot year equals to year. So this is the basic class. So next, like I'll create one more class car. I just want to add like two more properties. Like I just want to get the car name and the car manufacturing year. I just want to extend these two properties to the from the vehicle. So that's why I'll use the class car. I'm going to use the keyword called extends extend vehicle class. So if you want to achieve the inheritance, so I'm just going to define the one more class called class car, so which will extend the, so we have discussed, right? So inheritance will extend the properties and methods from its parent class. So that's why I have given class car extends the vehicle class. Like I just want to access these two values, like name and year. So that's why I have written the extends vehicle. So next, like inside this one, so for example I'll give color, color, car color should be a string, and I'll add one more, like max speed uh, should be a number. So next, like here, like I'll write the constructor function. So until here, like it's very easy. Just we have created the one class. So first, like base class or parent class with the like two properties. Next, like I have created the one child class with the class car extends the vehicle. So I just want to get the properties of this vehicle, right? So that's why like I have created the class car extends vehicle. So inside this vehicle, like I have added two more properties, like the car color and the car max speed. So now like we'll be having the constructor function. Now here like we have the one condition. Now if you want to access this parent class variables, like if you want to set these values, so we should use those properties in the child class component. For example, let me call like name. I'll give it as a name, year, color, max speed. So inside this, like so if you want to extend and if you want to access the parent class reference, so we should use the one more method called the super. So super. So I need to pass the, two variables to it, name and the year. So whenever if I use this super keyword, then only we can able to get the reference of this particular parent class. Otherwise, we won't, like if you want to get the reference, we should definitely use the super keyword. So then only it will works. Now I'll give distort color equals to color, and distort max speed equals to max speed. So let me create the object from this one. So this is the child class index. So it's just like I'm extending class car extends vehicle. So in addition to these properties, like I have added two more properties called color and the max speed. So if I want to access the the parent class properties, I need to use the super keyword. Super keyword, like which we need to pass the, like we have the two properties, right? So we need to pass these two properties like name and year. That's why like I have taken name and year along with this color and max speed. So previously we have the two properties, like we are passing the only two parameters, right? So whenever if you're trying to achieve the inheritance, so we should pass the like all the variables. If you want to get the parents reference properties also, we should pass those parameters inside the constructor function. So now uh, try to create the objects, from this class. So for example, where vehicle 1 equals to new vehicle. For example, I'll give as a Swift. So I'll give year as a 2010. So let me print first, like we'll print these values. Console.log vehicle 1 dot name, console.log vehicle 1 dot year. So first, like we'll compile this and we'll see. So we got the, we got the parent class values as like Swift and 2010. Now, like I want to access the, like I want to access the, I want to create the object by using the child class. So let me create. Where where car equals to new car. So here, like we have given this right, like we have given the four properties, right? Four parameters, right? So we need to pass the four here also. So for example, I'll pass Toyota year 2011, comma red, max speed is like 180. So console.log car.name, name, year, color, and the max speed. So let me compile this one and we can check the output. Here we can see like we got the we got the all the values like even though child class like we have the two properties, but like we are deriving the two more values from the its parent class. So this is called the inheritance. So the major difference like we have seen was like we have used the two more keywords like one is the extends. So extends is mainly used to extend the parent class, and the next one like we have used the super keyword. So if you want to get the parent class reference like parent class reference variable, so we should use the super keyword, then only like we can able to access the parent class properties. So this is called the inheritance. Like we have defined one base class. From that base class, like we have defined one more class like child class, where we can able to access this child class will be able to access the parent class like parent class properties. Guys, any questions here?
Sir, like why we are creating these two properties year and color and max speed within the child class? We can create those things within the parent class itself, right? What is the use? Like why we are doing this like this way?
Because like whenever if you go if you take in the real time scenarios, right? So like in a similar way, for example, so I want to capture the some employee data. So employee data. So the common fields like so this employee name and like employee age and employee mobile number, so like these are common, so these will be stored in the like will be defining in the one class. And whatever the additional like whatever the unique fields will be having, like will be for example employees. So in the employees also like we can divide like for example contractor employees or the permanent employees. So for the contractor employees, so he will be having some additional fields like the name and everything, like the common fields will be there. So all those fields will be defining in the common like employee class. So I just want to for the contractor employee, so I just want to add some like contractor period or like the when is his contract to this particular project. So in those scenarios, like again I don't want to create the all the fields again, like the name and like employee name, employee age, mobile number to this particular contractor. So I just want to have like one or two fields additional. So at this scenarios, so we'll be creating like one more class with the contractor employee. So he will be having some additional fields, whereas permanent employee, so he will be having some additional fields. So if you want to create some unique fields which are having some additional fields, so at that scenarios like we are going to use the inheritance concept, Karthik. This for
Okay,
for
sir.
this simple example, yeah, for this simple example, yeah, it will be visible like sir, we can directly use color and max speed. But whereas if you go for the real time examples, like we'll be having a lot of fields like it can be more than 15 or 20. Like we'll be whenever if you're capturing the employee information, so we'll be having a lot of fields. Not only employee. If you take any other examples, so it will be having a lot of fields. So that's why like we'll be taking the different employees and we'll be taking all the common fields into one class. And whenever we have the unique fields or the different fields are like the difference between those two employees, so we'll be defining by using the child classes.
Okay, sir. Got it, sir.
Uh, so from like I'll wind up the today's class here itself. So tomorrow like we'll be discussing about the access modifiers. So in the classes like we'll be seeing the like the private the public protected. So how those will be useful. So we'll be seeing those access modifiers tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
And access modifiers, and like we have some some more concepts like default arguments and the arrow functions. Like we'll be continuing all those concepts tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
I mean